All right, good morning. Good to see you all today. Sorry about the weather y'all are enjoying. Um, so let's go ahead and call to order the Parks and Community Services Committee meeting for Thursday, November 21st, 2024. First thing I need to do is get approval of the minutes from October 17th, 2024. Is there any discussion?
I'd move to approve as submitted.
Second.
A second. Can I just have a quick show of hands as far as approved? Any nays? No. All right. Next segment is public comment. Do I have anybody that in the audience that would like to make a public comment? I see head shaking from here.
Come on,
How about
Jay.
online?
There's nobody online, Les.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna race right along then. Okay, so first will be the monthly state of the parks. Kirk and AJ.
All right, I'll start. We installed playground equipment with the COLA volunteers and some of our Parks Committee members. We started some fall cleanups since the leaves are falling. Added more clay to the baseball field and covered it up for the fall. I planted a total of 500 daffodils around town. Also, we've been removing invasive species at the Sitka Spruce Reserve with the COLA volunteers and Parks Committee members as well. I just finished ordering last of the hardscape steps for the Center Street beach access to complete the renovation there. And then other than that, normal landscape maintenance and garbage. And you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so he mentioned the ball field. We put that to bed every winter. We cover the pitcher's mound and the batting box with tarps and pull up the bases and let it be. But we always, like you said, put down new, we put down new clay on those two spots so it maintains itself. I closed the pedestrian ramp at Tolavana Wayside for the season. It's cleaning out regularly, and when we finally give up, but this time of year when it's full of logs, and we chain it off and have a closed sign there. We spent a little bit of seasonal parking lot cleanup where we work with the street sweeper and get all that stuff cleaned up, blowers and then the street sweeper. And this happens once in a while, just kind of fun. There's a one little drain in the skate park in the bowl, and sometimes it gets plugged up, and then it's swimming pool. So it was about a foot deep last week, and I cleaned that out and stand there and then cleaned out the bowl. But it's also been messed with for, for fun. Some people have put things there to block it in a rainy weather, and it's not bad little swimming pool really, but it's a long time. Anyway, we're lucky that it drains so well. I mean, that drain has been foolproof, and I think it's only 4 inch, but it goes right out, catches the main drain in the park and goes out to the oxbow. Anyway, that's about it. Thanks for the volunteers last Saturday at a Cola Creek Park. I saw a little tiny pile of blackberries down. It looked like it.
All is you.
Good job, everyone. Big pile.
We're gonna pick that up later today.
Yeah, but I think that's where we're gonna go next. Well, I'll talk about that later, but anyway.
I just want to make a comment how good the parks look. I saw AJ at Whale Park and it just looks as good as I've seen. No disrespect, but for whatever reason I saw it. All the parks are just looking wonderful. So thank you to you guys for all the work that you're putting in. It's noticed.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're here. All right, so we've got a report some right-of-way trees. There were 3 permits listed. Is there any discussion on any of those?
Just had a question. I think I've brought it up before, but when the arborist recommends replanting or replacing a tree, is that given? I mean, how does that work exactly? I mean, do you like in your head go, okay, this is the tree that we're replacing for this tree, or is it just sort of arbitrary that because trees are getting planted that it's,
No, so when he
Happening.
makes a recommendation, usually he tries to say, let's put it on the same site,
I see,
pick a different site.
right?
So when AJ gets this every month, it's kind of his trigger. We haven't removed these trees yet, so I try to let him know when Joe Birch has removed it, and then he can go back out and plant back.
Right,
That information is given to Sherry, which is included in our Tree City USA application.
okay,
That's how we track it. There is one by the academy there that I almost pulled the trigger for emergency removal. But luckily, it's still there. But we're removing it next week while the kids are out of school.
well, that brings up a question about what about when a tree is on private property? There's a house on Washington and Hemlock, and I watched that. It's an alder, I think, and it's really leaning. I mean, and there's power lines right there. And I don't know if the city has any authority to tell the property owner that Pacific Power, because I listened to them and they're going to be going around.
If it's private property and somebody has, let's say an adjacent property owner has an issue with their neighbor's tree, it looks hazardous. They have to go through code enforcement on that and
Mhm.
has to take the bull by the horns. I can't deal with private property trees.
Right,
If there is a power line issue, the homeowner whose property it's on can call Pacific Power and have them deal with it.
I would think. I mean, it's going to fall right on the lines and onto Hemlock. I think everybody might know what tree I'm talking about there.
After the meeting, if I'll pull up my maps and you can show me, Anita,
Yeah,
I can have a conversation with Daniel.
okay,
Public Works, I don't have any authority.
yeah.
on Property.
I mean, it just seems to keep leaning and I'm just waiting for a windstorm. I'm surprised it hasn't taken it out already.
So then Daniel takes it and then he has to find out where the homeowner is and deal
Okay,
on that
okay, thank you.
aspect. He's actually dealing with one on the north side right now. In somebody's backyard,
Mm-hmm.
but I receive the phone calls usually for trees. Steer the people in the correct direction.
Yep.
Help them get the correct city staff to talk to.
Great,
Okay?
thank you.
All right, any further discussions, with, tree removals? No? So, next on our agenda is heritage trees. I'm not aware of any new applications. Are there any updates for our heritage tree program?
Got no updates.
Sorry, seem to be the only one talking this morning. Maybe the coffee or something, I don't know, but here, I was just wondering if this heritage tree program could somehow be integrated into our tree ordinance so that it is there for anybody, building to see that we have this program and it might in some way as it develops, motivate them to save a tree and also see that this is a program that the city,
I can speak to that because at the very beginning of this program, when we started discussing heritage trees, there was discussion about allowing private property owners on their own property to nominate a tree on their property. It hasn't got to that point, and that's not in our wheelhouse.
okay,
But if the tree focus group wanted to bring that up with the planning department, community development department,
yeah,
that would be in their wheelhouse. But that was discussed, but we wanted to separate the two.
right,
To focus on city trees. Since I can control city trees, I can't control private property trees.
Right.
That was discussed for sure.
right. I remember that,
Yeah.
I guess I was just thinking how to expand the program so that, because
I think the
I don't think I've
expansion-
gotten any applications other than from the Parks Committee for the one
the
tree.
expansion is exactly what you're saying is starting the process. The community development department,
Right, okay,
and they could take, we've done all the hard work pretty much on this.
Right.
And they could just try to implement that on the private property side of things.
okay. And that's, Jan, are you part of that tree focus group that might,
The ordinance, the final draft is in the packet for the meeting on the 26th.
Okay,
which is this coming Tuesday,
okay,
for the planning commission, so we will be, that's kind of our final
right,
gift.
okay.
And so it will be going to the planning commission on Tuesday, and if you wanted to come and bring this idea, I don't know how they would,
Well, I don't know either. I think I mentioned it to Mike Bates a while ago, just as a matter of conversation, but didn't really go any farther, not being in the focus group, but didn't know how that might be at least part of a discussion for future.
I think it would be a good idea. if
I do
you wanted
too.
To bring it to the planning commission,
Okay,
on Tuesday. And then if they do vote in what we got so far on Tuesday, then it would go to the city council.
mm-hmm,
So that's another possibility to fold it in at some point.
yeah, I hate to overstep the tree focus group in that though, so that's where I was hoping to, when I mentioned it to Mike, that it might be brought up in and if it wasn't, I'm not sure at this time.
Being brought up,
Yeah.
it might have been, but it's been a pretty arduous process.
Well, that's where I think yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, we won't be meeting again. We just met yesterday. So we won't be meeting again with that tree focus group before Tuesday. But we will be meeting, as I understand it, later on, because we will be talking about other things as
okay,
well. So to do with trees, so that might be a time to.
okay.
I think it'd be appropriate for the planning commission.
You do? Okay, well, I don't want to step on any toes.
It'd be under Steve's umbrella.
Okay,
This would not be my umbrella, Public Works, the private
Okay.
property side of things. It would be under his.
well, what I feel like I want to include somebody, is there a chair? Is Lisa? She might be somebody that kind of heads that group or,
Is on that group. too.
That's right.
Unless you want to
Yes.
speak question, that would be helpful. You're on the planning commission too.
right, that's true, okay.
Are you there?
You see him.
I'm not hearing Jan completely,
Oh,
but I think you're talking to me now, or about me anyway. Is that correct? Anyway, yes, I'm on that. I don't think we really have an elected head, but I would be more than happy to take anything forward like that, Anita. This has been, as Jan described it, a fairly arduous process.
Mhm.
But I do think that all things trees ultimately ought to be tied together.
Well, maybe this isn't the right time, maybe, in the future, the near future, after you get this first hurdle of getting it to planning into council, and then at that time, see about implementing it there.
I know it was gonna be a harder process for the heritage tree on the private property side of things because you're dealing with root structures that could impact, properties adjacent to you. So I just remember that conversation. That's why we separated it. I think there's a lot of things they gotta look at when if they start that program on the private property side of things.
Yeah,
So it'll be a tough slope, but I think you guys can get there.
yeah, just seems like it should be part of the tree ordinance since it's,
I don't know how that would happen with change of ownership, you nominate a heritage tree, you get it in your backyard and then it changes ownership.
well, there's lots of heritage tree programs throughout the state, and I think actually down in Corvallis, Eugene area, they've got a pretty big program.
Yeah.
Hawaii has one too, so it'd probably be easy to see.
Got a great template they can work off of, and of course, it's gonna be a little more advanced than what we have because it's private property. But go for it.
Okay, all right. I'll be quiet now. I'm sorry.
Good stuff. Yeah, thank you.
But that's good stuff. And we are kind of, the next agenda item is the tree focus group, and I think we've kind of already touched on it. What we are offering to the planning commission will be reviewed next Tuesday at the scheduled planning meeting the final, I hope, draft is available online if you want to go out and take a look at it. It's been a long process with a lot of input, and we've done our best to include and consider everything. Feel pretty
Thank
good
you.
about it. You want to say anything more about it, Jan, since you're part of the focus group?
I feel really good about it too. I've never worked in a group as hard as I have with this group. And we've really tried to listen to all people's comments and fold them in, and I hope it will get kudos at the planning commission meeting. And I really hope it'll go forward to the council and that they will vote for it. I think it's really good.
Mhm. Well, sure appreciate everything.
Thank you.
On it. I mean, it's important and just
It's been a
great
joy.
work. Yeah.
A joy because we love our trees here and so beautiful and they are so important to the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Got a follow-up question maybe for Jan or Les. At the last meeting, and then it showed up in the meeting minutes, a copy of the proposed ordinance is going to be provided to the Oregon Department of Forestry for review and comment.
We've long ago worked with this Jennifer Killian.
Okay, no,
Who
Jennifer.
is a wonderful lady, and she came to the last planning commission meeting and answered questions from people. So she's been very involved with us. And it was also, we gave it to Bill Kabayasman, our land use attorney. And he went through it and looked at to see that we were really following all of the laws. And so I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm really hopeful.
Good work. Yeah.
Thanks.
There was another fellow, I can't recall his first name. His last name is Gersbach, who's with the ODF, and he has also had his hands on our several of the versions of our draft and has provided written input as well.
Yeah.
So we've gotten fair amount of input from ODF. Anything else on the tree focus group? Right. So an update on the Tree City USA. Kudos to Sherry and Barb Knopp. They have gotten the application submitted. Looks like it went in earlier this month. And again, just thank you so much for taking care of that. Assuming that we get approved or whatever the right word is, this will be our 17th year. So
Wow.
something to be proud of. And again, thank you, Sherry, for putting all
Thank you,
that together.
Sherry.
Sure.
And Barb, of course.
And Barb, yes, of course.
Okay, so Betty, this is probably the time to talk about our monthly reserve cleanup and
Okay.
how that's been.
A Saturday, we went to the little park across from Nakoos and 10 hardy souls. We took out mostly blackberries, a few little, a little bit of ivy was there, but we're going to go there again this next month because we didn't quite get it all and we might be going there for the rest of our life, but anyway, we're going to do the best we can one more time and see how that goes. And one of the things I wanted to mention was how AJ touched on the kids from Ecola Bible College. They are the two gentlemen that are coming. They're taking out trees that are the holly trees in our forest reserve that are what, 6 inches? I mean, they're huge.
Yeah.
Hand, I mean.
Size.
Don't say 6. 5 and 7.
Yes. I don't know.
Under, yeah. But they're bushes, they're not trees.
Right, right.
Bush, okay.
Yes, invasive.
Invasive for sure.
I don't think the tree ordinance speaks to invasives or not, so watch for the 6.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that whole area closer to the end of the trail is just a forest of struggling, I hope struggling holly, but they made a big dent and we're so grateful to have them.
Good.
And they're starting to do, you gave them scrapers, right?
I gave one person.
Yeah, yeah. So he's working on some of the sticker projects. But I also have to say, we went to the playground the week before, or last week, I guess it was. And it was windy and rainy and stormy and AJ was out there. We were doing the playground and the kids never complained. And first of all, AJ, I don't know how you do that job all by yourself.
It's amazing.
No.
Permanent.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah, Papa Kirk there.
the way it was quite an, walking in your shoes is, I appreciate you guys so much. You guys do a great job. Thank you. Anyway.
Yeah.
And it's great we have these kids to help us.
Yeah, it is.
So anyway, that's all I have to say.
At Acola Creek Park, there's a young black walnut tree, so be careful not to mess with that. Next week.
Is that what it's called? Ecola Creek
I
Park?
think, yeah,
Well,
Okay,
I think it's a chestnut.
black walnut.
Now that
is it a chestnut tree? I thought it was a
Tree
walnut.
alone.
It was a walnut. I think
Please.
Oh, maybe it's chestnut.
it's planted inside the willows down kind of where that,
In that willow island, right in the middle of it. there's-
Okay, okay.
Chestnut, well, Mark knows what it is if he sees it, chestnut or walnut, I'm not sure.
Look at it again. You showed it to me.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking chestnut when we looked at it then.
The leaves look like it.
Might
I
have to wait till the leaves come back out.
think Wes told us it was a walnut.
There's two cedar that are doing great there. Two newly planted cedar that look,
oh, those are the,
Leyland
yeah,
cypress.
Leyland cypress.
oh, cypress, sorry. I don't know my trees.
And then a magnolia is just next to those ones.
Yeah,
And redwood.
And then the redwood just right around the corner, yeah.
great,
Never thought we could put 5 new trees in that little park, but
great.
guys, 3 guys.
That's good.
Mm-hmm, it does.
10 years what they look like.
Yeah, it's like.
Oh, thank you.
Betty.
Thank you.
Wow, thanks, Betty. Okay, so, this month, we need to start talking about 12 days of Earth Day. I know it feels earlier and it is earlier than we've done it in the past, but, couple of things came up over the course of the last year that, made us go back and relook at the handbook to start with. And there is a copy of the 12 Days of Earth Day, handbook in the packet this month. If you haven't looked at it or hadn't had a chance to take a quick, to see it, I'd recommend you do that. A lot of work got put in by Betty and Stacy and myself to a lesser degree. And then Trevor got that approved by the council, I guess just a month ago, or maybe a month and a half ago. One of the things that's a little bit different, Sherry, did you ever get a copy of the invitee list from last year?
Believe so.
I sent it to you, so I'm not sure why it's not coming through.
Well, for some reason I couldn't get it. I've got it. I just couldn't get it to Sherry, but
Yeah,
there's a couple of items that we really need to talk about this month for consideration going forward. One of them is, this is the time for the committee to start thinking about who we're going to invite to participate. And I kind of stressed that word invite. That was one of the feedback items we got last year. Because this is a city event, it's not open to just anybody showing up that wants to put up a booth or whatever. It needs to be managed a little bit more tightly. And so what we need to do is come up with our list of people we would like to participate in next year's 12 days, whether it's whether it's a presenter for like an evening talk, or whether it's a booth at the street fair. We need to come up with a list by the end of this year to submit to the city for their approval before we can ask them to participate. That's a little bit different feeling than maybe it's been in the past, but that's the process that we have going forward anyway. I apologize. I do have Betty's list and it's pretty complete. I will send it to Sherry after this meeting and then have her share it out again. But basically, it's everybody that Betty worked with in 2024 as part of the street fair. So I'd encourage everybody to take a look at it, give it some thought. Let's see if there's anybody else new that we need to invite or would like to invite and get them on that list so that we can get it approved by the city. And do it early enough that we can actually get on folks' calendars. If we wait till January, we probably won't, we may not be able to get them.
Who's approving? Is that gonna be council or who approving the list?
I don't, it's like city staff. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, it'll be myself, Karen.
Normally,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
The Public Works
Yeah.
is gonna be,
Normally it's been Trevor and Karen. And I recommend that you take a look because I say approval and it is, it truly is an approval. The city wants to have some say in who shows up. But I'm scanning ahead here real quick, but the criteria really aren't anything that you would object to, I don't think. Let me find this.
Oh, that's one of the objectives is that this is an environmentally friendly, this is focusing on environment. And so we want to keep within that guideline, so that we are promoting, it's 12 days of Earth Day. So that's sort of our underlying concept. So we don't want, the people wanted to sell EV cars. It gets to be out of the range of what we want to do. So we have to keep it kind of within the group, the NGOs that are already working with our community, that kind of thing. We want to try to keep it in that. So that's, yeah. And we had people jumping in last year that didn't fit that model. So we were trying to make sure everybody knows what the guidelines are so we don't hurt anybody's feelings.
And nobody gets an invite besides from our committee here. That's what we had last year. People
Yeah.
were getting invites. We never found out who they were coming from and they
Yeah.
were coming from you guys.
Yeah.
And that's how we can kind of keep this tight and
Right.
keep it managed.
okay,
It's not a free for all because it is a city event.
right,
We got to be careful.
understandable.
So this will be a good chance for us to I think put a little bit of thought early on about maybe expanding some participation, but this is our chance to do that. I did go out and look. The theme for Earth Day 2025 is they call it Our Power, Our Planet. And apparently it will be kind of a focus on renewable energy. So that's every year there's a different theme for Earth Day, the official National Earth Day. And while we've never really tied it completely to what we try to do here in Cannon Beach, I think it's useful to keep that out in front of people. So it may be that renewable energy is something that we want to have somebody come talk to us about. It's just a thought at this point, but I'd like to have everybody stew on it a little bit and either let me or Sherry know if you've come up with anybody else you'd like to have to the list, and we'll compile that and then probably touch base in December real quick on it, and then we can move forward.
Hey, Les, I'm just gonna add something to that because that's a great scenario. You talk about renewable energy and inviting somebody that would talk about renewable energy. And one thing the city would frown upon is if it's a salesman selling a product.
Right,
Would be if somebody that's talking about at high level, they're not trying to push a product to the
right.
customer. So I'm glad you brought up that scenario, Les, because that's kind of what the city would be looking at
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not somebody selling a product.
Agree.
But Pack Power, who do participate with this, might be able to come in and focus something for us.
Yep.
But, so it's just our opportunity to start thinking about it. And I think doing it a little earlier this year is going to help us, going forward. Jay, any more thoughts on participation? Go ahead.
One question about the list. Do we know if the environmental oriented groups that received grants this year are on the invite list? Have we kind of cross-referenced that to if they've received a grant? Not that there's a requirement, but make sure we're not overlooking them, There could be a few of them. I think last year North Coast Land Conservancy was there and they got a grant again this year, but
That's a good point. So maybe next meeting, since we have to come up with a list by the first of the year, let's get Betty and Les's list and let's get the list of the
Community grant.
community grants people and let's just cross-reference it and see if
Sure.
somebody was excluded that maybe we should send an invite to.
Good
Great
idea.
idea.
Yep.
Excellent idea. The other thing that you might start thinking about as a group is presentations that might be appropriate. I know in the past we've been able to work with Friends of Haystack. We've worked with the History Center. We've worked with Tolovana. And those are great opportunities to leverage our efforts. And to try to really fill out a good 12-day schedule. So give that some thought. I have not contacted any to see if there's anything that they were already planning that would fit our need, but that doesn't mean we can't talk to them and suggest things if we start early enough. Anyway, okay. If there's no more conversation about that, I will send Betty's list to Sherry as soon as we finish this meeting. The other thing that we need to start talking about this time is there are three main liaisons as we have it laid out in our handbook right now. There are communications, speakers and events, and then street fair and parade is kind of combined into one liaison. And those individuals, really are what cause this to come together. I'm looking for volunteers to it would be the best way to put it. I did communications. I have done it for the last couple of years. I'd like to find somebody who'd like to try that. Stacy did speakers and events for the last couple of years, and of course she's not part of it now, so we'll need to find somebody that's willing to step up for that. And then Betty has handled street fairs and in the last couple of years, and I don't know if Betty wants to continue to do that or not, but we would like to start getting people lined up to start thinking about those kind of roles. And then out of that, each liaison needs to start thinking about what kind of help they need and solicit that from the rest of us on the committee, so that we get everything put together.
Yes, I would like to stay on the street fair, but I'd also like to get involved in the parade because I have talked to this, I'm working with the Cannon Beach Academy. And the kids are interested in being in the parade as decomposers and pollinators. And I thought that would add a lot of parents and other people being interested in what we're doing environmentally. So I have permission to get to have the kids be in it. So I just wanted to bring that up to everybody and make sure that that would be okay. I mean, I think it's, and then I was thinking in the street fair itself, we could have the kids, because in the past, my husband, Mike, and I have been talking about worms and composting. We're doing that at the school now. So I was thinking the kids could explain to people how composting works and how worms work. And they could do some of the little activities, like they could help Anita with the nature crowns. So we could get the families more involved in what we're doing. So that was a thought, but I don't know how everybody feels about that.
I'm happy to help in whatever capacity you need, Betty.
Thanks.
I think it's a great idea.
Yes,
Also,
it is.
just-
Starting the kids young and getting them involved is.
Yeah.
Tough decision.
Necessary.
Dress up like a banana slug or butterfly though.
Which one do you,
Yeah.
well, some of the boys want to be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they like slugs, you know, they want to be
Sure.
slugs.
Would be,
Anyway.
yeah, that would be my choice as well. I'd like to be a slug. Right, so Betty, you will, assume that liaison spot for the street fair and the parade. Do I have any volunteers for communications at all?
I'll jump in, Les.
Good.
Tom, thank you, Tom. That's
Yay.
very good of you. And since I did do that the last couple of times, and you helped me out the last couple of times as well, I'll be happy to work with you and support anything you need. So, and then the other one is kind of a speakers and events thing. A lot of our events actually have been sponsored and created by Betty or the History Center, as I recall in the past. But would someone like to kind of take the lead on that one and as a liaison?
I'll do the events again. If nobody wants-
I thought you might do a few more. So, the events is, a lot of that has to do with, making sure we've got the right approvals from the city and, the spaces, venues lined up ahead of time. There's a lot of legwork that Stacy put into that and so that they just went off seamlessly. And if that doesn't fit anybody's wicket, then, just like Stacy did last year, I can try to fill that, as well. But if somebody'd like to do that, I'd be more than happy to let them. So, looks like it'll be less. That'll be fine.
Well, I'm giving it some thought. I just don't know exactly what
Uh,
it involves. So,
Entail.
yeah, so that's where I don't,
Contacting, lining up speakers and then
Right.
coordinating with the
right.
speaking venue.
I suppose Stacy could be,
She would be a good person to.
yeah.
Give it a
Yeah,
crack.
I mean,
You'll be good at it.
I know one thing she did, she said to me that she got a hold of the different, like North Coast Land Conservancy and Haystack Rock to see if they have anything already planned for that time of year.
Oh,
Just dovetail in
right.
and, it's groups that we already invite. You would just connect with them. If the aquarium wanted to come and do some kind of talk about anybody that we already work with. Last year they had Audubon, I don't know if they call that anymore, but they had talking about this area down. Remember that, Les? What was that one? We went to the community center and it was the deep hole. that had- What's that called?
is it
Off,
Hecata,
yeah. So it's this
the
beautiful.
Cedar Bank, Hecata
Yeah.
Bank? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we had a talk, people came and talked about it and it's this enriched area in the ocean that nobody knew about I think it's off Newport, right?
It is. It's a little further south. And that was actually a Friends of Haystack Rock thing that happened to coincide and worked really well for us. We just need to we need to reach out and see what people are already planning, maybe plant a few seeds of our own. And then, in the past, we've done some movies. The one that I thought was really, really good was a video that was presented. We used the History Center and it had to do with the land bill, the history of the land bill, as how it was initially created to protect and preserve the Oregon that they loved way back then. And it was very interesting. It wasn't real well attended. I went. I didn't think it was well attended, but I think those kind of things are fair game. And it's really whatever we think. I know Stacy spent a lot of time trying to get venues, though. Some of them were at the Chamber of Commerce meeting room, but it wasn't always available. So, logistics in that may be a significant part of that by the time it's all said and done. And of course,
Yeah.
Stacy did a great
Okay.
job of feeding us. Anyway, yeah,
That sounds like
give it some thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have. And it gave me that couple minutes maybe to think about a little bit. And if you're interested in doing that, it sounds like a fair amount of work the way it's described. Thanks for the question, Tom. A little more clarification is I'll collaborate with you on that.
That'd be
'Cause it sounds
great.
like there's enough to kind of divide out and we can come up with a list and talk to the venues, maybe see who's going to talk to maybe some of the venues.
Yeah, I think I'd like to get Stacy's ear a little bit,
Yeah.
just, get who she's contacted, how she went about getting venues. And then I'm wondering, is there any funding that we could, like maybe provide cookies and coffee at a movie event or anything like that?
Sorry, no.
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 Okay.
And
Well, could a member bring coffees and cookie, like say if we have a movie or?
Sure about that because of the food handler stuff. I think we ran into that.
When Stacy.
Well, it wouldn't be home cooked. It would be like you'd get it from the grocery store.
That's what Stacy did. We had a movie about the history of Earth Day at the History Museum, and she just brought snacks.
Yeah.
And from,
Okay. I mean, that's just a nice way to get people, that,
oh, she didn't make them, she bought them. Yeah.
yeah. But we'll check on that.
Last year, I know that Stacy just went off her previous year's schedule. So you're
Okay.
not having to recreate a wheel. It's kind of already
Yeah.
there. You just have to work with the Chamber Hall and the History Center to make sure you have those venues available and then fill those spots with those. Kind of, you can look at the last year's, and I'm starting to keep a record of on the website so you guys can access the previous years.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. It's very helpful.
And the new handbook is really helpful because it goes step by step what you're supposed to do. Because we came in a few years ago, there was no handbook, and so we were just kind of floundering. So we tried to be really specific in the handbook so that whoever steps in can be a, beginner, but they'll have all what they need to do.
Mhm.
Oh.
Great.
I think it's really helpful.
Okay, it does. Yeah. All right.
Olavana Hall in mind as a venue.
Right. Okay. Thank
Like
you.
Tolovana, it doesn't have any internet or, it has it can do talking stuff, but it doesn't really have a way to do internet very well.
My kind of place.
I know.
I'd keep Olavana Hall.
Yeah. Well, it's got a
Yeah.
nice setup there for,
It's got no use in it. so
Yeah.
sit on
yeah.
it.
I agree. I'd like to utilize that a little bit more.
Anyway, those are all great ideas. I think that's exactly what I was hoping we would start having these discussions. Nobody needs to feel roped in or all on their own. As your chairman, I will help anybody and will be a part of the whole process. And so I appreciate, Tom, you taking the communication piece so that I can maybe step back a little bit and be part of everybody's activities. At least that's my hope.
And
Any
just
other?
just make sure everyone really looks at the timetables that we've set, 2 weeks prior to the event. You gotta follow that this year because I think it was last year, the street fair, we just had people showing up, didn't do what they needed to do, so
Right. That's why we put that in there in red.
I gotta be the guy that turns people away during the fair. I'll do it, but this year.
All right. Super. This is a good way to get started. Look forward to touching base again in December. So that's the last thing on our discussions. Is there anything for the good of the order?
Good job, Les.
Yeah.
Well, I will, if nobody else has anything, I will say thank you for being patient with me. This is the first time in my recollection, that we've tried to do this with the, with the chairman or whatever my title is, remote. I hope it worked okay for everybody. If it
Yeah.
didn't, please let
Good.
me know and I'll do better. I'm sorry
can
you were
ask-
having,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
I know when I'm on Zoom, excuse me, and trying to hear the audience is hard to hear and sometimes people speaking. Is there a way for us to
No.
beef up the,
It's on purpose at the audience. You're not supposed to be able to hear them. We don't have microphones, the pucks. So if somebody wants to speak, it's the diet or the,
okay. Yeah, okay,
you guys, you just gotta speak louder.
okay.
Yeah, and
Don't scream,
Betty,
just louder.
to that, I've been able to hear everybody perfectly well, except for Jan out in the audience, and I did hear most of that as well. So it's, at least for me, it's working fine.
Good. All
Um,
right.
so, yeah, if there's nothing else, then why don't we go ahead and adjourn the meeting? Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Les.
Thanks.
Thank you.